When I take a look around the country and I see the best markets in America, and the best markets as voted by our investors are these top 15 or 16 markets. You see markets like LA, you see New York, you see San Francisco. Hasn't that always been the case? Well, the reality is it wasn't always the case, because the great cities in America weren't always great. They did something to turn the corner. We could be entering into a very, very, very low interest rate world. Now, is that a good thing? I don't think so, but also it changes the way you look at commercial real estate. What happens if inflation goes to zero? I think inflation is going to be lower forever, and I think cap rates are going to compress further and coincide with cap rates in Europe. But shout out number one for Kansas City. Why are they coming to Kansas City? Yield. Kansas City has one of the highest yielding markets in the United States, average yield of about 7.5%. And if you want to put that in perspective, New York is averaging about 5%. There are two scarce things in the investing world. Number one, large, high-yielding investments, whether it be stocks, bonds, or commercial real estate. Number two, talent. Scarce pockets of talent is the most sought-after thing by big occupiers. So at least Kansas City's got one going here, and we'll talk about talent here in a moment. I think the whole co-working model is a game changer, and it's going to continue to grow. Right now, co-working is about 2% of the total stock of office in the United States. We just came out with a study last week that said it can go up to 22% by 2030. Now, I think it's going to be much less than that, because our low-end estimate was 6, mid was about 13. The world is a scary place. But the UK and the USA are the two cleanest dirty shirts in the global laundry. And because of that, money and occupiers are going to continue to flood here, no matter how much noise you hear from these two guys. I care about infrastructure, I care about talent, and I care about foreign money. And so those cities that are getting foreign money are going to do well. And who's getting the foreign money today? These are the places getting the foreign money today. You get a lot of the usual suspects, Chicago, New York, Dallas. But take a look at some of these little guys who have momentum, meaning not just liquidity, but a lot more of it today. Little guys, Honolulu, Cincinnati, San Antonio. Remember those cities, folks. We're about to do a little exercise of Kansas City and its peers. These cities are drawing foreign money in like crazy. And what is that doing? It's causing a development boom in each of these areas. It's causing cap rates to compress. It's causing jobs to come in. Listen, folks, foreign money brings everything that you want in your market. You want that money here because it will drive this or any other market forward. Your market is immobile, can't move. But capital and talent is mobile, and they're going to go to the place where they have the best opportunity. So these are the issues I think about the most when I'm thinking about markets. I'm thinking about talent. I'm thinking about taxes. I'm thinking about ease of regulatory burden. Location incentives are a short-term cure, and the long-term problems are what's up on the screen. You make this the easiest place in the world to do business, you're not going to have to give any location incentives. Foreign money in Kansas City. Folks, let me be clear. I'm here as a friend. I really like Kansas City. I really, really don't like what's on that screen. You have to increase that number. And how do you do that? You brand Kansas City, and you get on a plane, and you go to where the money is, and find it and bring it in and create momentum. This number has to go up for Kansas City to get to the next level. Here is Kansas City's doppelgangers: Cincinnati, Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, and Cleveland. Okay? That's what you are. In my eyes, and my eyes see money from around the world. Here's who you want to be. You want to be Austin, Texas, Portland, Oregon, Charlotte, and maybe San Antonio. Okay? We did it based upon size and a couple of other things, but let's take a look at the metrics and see how Kansas City stacks up to some of these other places. Population, all about the same size, about 2 million, 2 to 2.5 million people. Job growth. Kansas City's job growth is not up to the par of these three cities. Relative cost of doing business. Folks, this is definitely where I'm getting thrown out of this room. Because if you're going to compete on low cost, it is a race to the bottom, and there's always somebody who's going to do it cheaper than you. You should run to the top, having the highest value-add jobs, having the best infrastructure, and the best foreign money. Low cost can't win. And education level, talent. Noticeable difference in talent levels in Austin, Portland, and Charlotte. Tech talent ranking, there's a ranking that we did of all of the cities in America. Kansas City comes in 32nd, Austin 6th, but you can see we're around the same level as the others. Office market size, 40 million. Nice size office market, but here's the bad news. This is new office construction in your market, and you're being passed by others. Okay, this is my magic trick moment of today's presentation, Gina. Want to see my magic trick? Watch this. The average rent for office buildings in Kansas City is $21 a foot. How close am I? Right on the money, huh? You know why that's a magic trick? Because that's the average rent in every other one of these cities except for Austin, Texas, and Charlotte. But here's the punchline, folks. I was in San Antonio 2 weeks ago, and they're building new office towers. And you know what they're getting? $21 for their old stuff, $60 for the new stuff. New is the new. You got that? What it means is that even if you have a market that has low rent, you could still build, and you're going to suck tenants out of the existing buildings, and more people are going to come to your market, and you can justify the construction even on low thing. And that's one of the things that Kansas City should do. You should continue to build even if the rents are soft overall. International investment. Once again, guys, you can see what you're doing compared to your peers in international investment, and they are way, way ahead. Cincinnati, the Queen City. I had a huge fight with one of my biggest investor clients the other day about Cincinnati. And they said, I'm never investing in Cincinnati again. I lost all this money there. I said, well, times have changed, man. They were like right in the middle of all these people, so it's terrific for industrial. It has opportunity to redevelop all these areas, and they still couldn't get there. But you know who's getting there? Foreign money's getting there. So Cincinnati is going to come back faster than you think. The reason why megacities win is because they have the most money, talent, and infrastructure. It's not because they're big, it's because they're durable. So small markets like Kansas City that have those three elements can thrive in a slowing growth world. Local is the new global. Be maximum Kansas City. Don't have generic restaurants. Go with your strength. But the second is airports. Now I'm going to get thrown out of here. Kansas City has the worst airport in America. But thank God you're putting $3 billion into it, because that's what's going to bring the foreign money in. So I'm a big fan of what you're doing with the airport, but I would like it more if you picked it up and put it where the other airport is, right here, closer to the city, but I can't do that. So let me tell you a few other things that I see with my life on the road of things you should take into consideration to help Kansas City grow. This is me in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, standing in front of Bakery Square, which is an old cookie factory. Beautiful adaptive reuse. It's got office, multifamily, and retail. But if you take a good look at the building, it's also Google's new headquarters in Pittsburgh. Not an outlier, because every other major tech company in the world is in Pittsburgh because of Carnegie Mellon University. So, number one, find your strongest education centers here and build around them. Number two, retail. This is me in Denver, Colorado, another city a lot of you folks want to be like. Retail is not dead, and that could work here in Kansas City. This is me in Helsinki, Finland, standing in front of what might look to you as a Class C industrial building. But what it looks like to me is Hipsterville, where all of the top retailers in Helsinki are congregating. But you know what else this building looks like to me? Looks like the building in downtown Charlotte, North Carolina that Wells Fargo just moved into, moving out of a large glass tower downtown. Looks like buildings that are being built in the Fulton Market in Chicago, in the Arts District in LA. You know what this building looks like to me? It looks like Class A office. Because you know what Class A office is? It's whatever it takes to get the best tenants in the market into your building, and all of your assumptions about ceiling heights and elevator banks and parking counts. That's 1970s thinking. Older existing stuff and converting it into things like this is what we're seeing all over the world. But here's my infrastructure comment. This is my new favorite market in the world, Crystal City, Virginia. Anybody know why Crystal City, Virginia is so popular these days? Because Amazon just moved there for HQ2. And why do I love Crystal City? Because Crystal City has the best infrastructure of any market I've ever been to on the planet. And folks, I've been everywhere. And what do I mean by that? They have the Amtrak train, which is going to take it from New York straight to their site. They have a subway that goes from their site to downtown Washington, D.C., and they have an expression for that. They say they have red state pricing with blue state talent. But this is the piece de resistance. That is an airport. They are building a bridge so you can walk to the airport. How do you compete in a slowing growth world? You get more talent. As I mentioned, there's only three pillars I care about. It's talent, infrastructure, and foreign money. And all we care about is where do we find the talent. And we don't just care about the number of jobs, we care about the quality of those jobs. And these are the top 10 markets in the United States in terms of the quality jobs, quality workforce. San Francisco isn't just number one, they are number one by a lot. And the reason why quality jobs matter is because they will not be disrupted in the event of a downturn. Kansas City, in case you were screening, is number 32. Continue to move up on this list because a lot of those smaller cities, including my hometown of Baltimore, are continuing to move up at number 14. Columbus continues to move up. Move up this list, foreign money, infrastructure, it will do more than anything else you could think about. You put your money where the growth's going to be. And remember what I said about the U.S. and the UK being the cleanest dirty shirts in the laundry? Not only are the cleanest dirty shirts in the laundry, but they are going to be the two fastest growing Western countries in the world, and the money is going to come here, and it is dying to come to monies like Kansas City that have higher yields than elsewhere. So the strategies that we're talking to our investors about are twofold. Number one, go to smaller markets like Kansas City, get the kind of returns you can to get that yield. We are also talking to them about going to some of the big markets too, because the cost of capital drops, people can get cap rate compression. Look, folks, I was just in Canada, and when I was there, I said this to a big Canadian investor. I said, look, I was just in Kansas City, and I'm embarrassed to tell you that because the words Kansas City never crossed my lips as a professional until this meeting. He said, but I saw some really good things here, from infrastructure to talent, and I hope you bring some foreign money there. They said, don't worry about it. We have what's known as an emerging market strategy in the U.S., and we love Kansas City, so I think you are going to see some foreign money here soon.